Wasn't there like a book report due in like 2 days? Guess I better start working on that.
The Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Player's Handbook, a non-fiction book documenting a fictional game. Where does one even begin in writing an essay on a fiction-non-fiction book? Well, your guess is as good as mine. What? You think I know what I'm doing? Wait, I don't have to come up with the order I write my essay in. I can just look at the rubric. Alright, let's see. Paragraph 1. Basic information. Yeah, this is pretty easy. Title: Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Player's Handbook, or D&D 5e PHB for short. Genre: non-fiction, fiction, non-fiction TRPG rulebook. Now, setting's actually a bit harder than that. Well, D&D usually takes place in a traditional high fantasy setting. You know, think Lord of the Rings. Elves, dwarves, orcs, trolls, wizards, castles, and a fight between good and evil. At least, in a typical D&D campaign. You see, one of D&D's strengths is its versatility. Perhaps, players must choose between two sides of a conflict, each one equal parts righteous and malicious, and experience the repercussions of said choices throughout their adventures. Perhaps players aren't warriors bound to a nation in war, but wanderers simply seeking adventure, traveling between planes of existence in pursuit of epic perils and treasures. Or perhaps adventurers are in present-day West Africa for some reason. Paragraph 2. Characters. Oh. Well, there aren't really many characters in a non-fiction, fiction, non-fiction, fic-non-fiction book like this. The character that gets the most development in this book is the Dwarven Fighter Brainor. Development being the character's actual creation. He's used in He's used in his example. Frick, I did it again! He's used as an example in the step-by-step tutorial on creating a character. However, there are bits and pieces of such stories scattered throughout the book, in the form of the illustrations. The illustrations are fantastic. Each one is exuding with personality and even backstory. All the people who made illustrations for this book are more than likely D&D players themselves, and the illustrations are events from their own epic campaigns. At least, it looks like it. Maybe they're completely random off of the top of the artist's heads, but that's beside the point. Take the cover illustration, for example. We see a massive fire giant and a spellcaster, perhaps a wizard or sorcerer, dueling it out in a fiery wasteland. In the bottom corner, a wary fighter looks on with a worried face, and in the top left, we see a hound ready to join the fray at any moment. This immediately raises a question. Where's the rest of the party? The two adventurers are reasonably geared, probably adventurers of decent strength, but definitely not enough for a fire giant of that caliber, especially if he has hounds to back him up. The fighter's expression reinforces the idea that something is very wrong. How does this conflict end? Do the adventurers miraculously defeat the giant by rolling enough nat 20s? Do they retreat and narrowly escape the pursuit of the hounds? Does the giant capture them and feed them to his dogs? Perhaps the rest of the party makes it just in time in a magma-powered, high-speed tunneling vehicle they found in the fire giant prison they just escaped from.
Oh no.
Paragraph 3. Plot. Well, just like this non-fiction, fiction, non-fiction, fic-non-fiction TRPG rulebook doesn't have characters, it also doesn't have a plot like a fiction book would. However, if a fiction book is a series of events organized by a plot, a non-fiction, Okay. I'm tired of saying that, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing it, so I'll stop. If a fiction book is a series of events organized by a plot, this book is a series of rules organized by a, organization system. So, I'll describe that organization system here. Following a short introduction, the book is divided into 3 parts. The first governs character creation, the second governs how to actually play the game, and the third governs spellcasting and the spell list.
Part 1, Chapter 1, Step-by-Step Characters.
Remember Bruenor? He was in this part. This short section is basically a tutorial on how to use the rest of this chapter.
Part 1, Chapter 2, Races.
Dwarves, elves, halflings, humans, dragonborns, gnomes, half-elves, half-orcs, and tieflings. This section briefs the lore and rules governing all the different playable races. Not that these are the only playable races, because you can do whatever you want in D&D. Basically, each race follows an identical layout. A brief bit of lore at the beginning, followed by traits, attributes, and ability score increases.
Part 1, Chapter 3, Classes.
Barbarians, bards, clerics, druids, fighters, monks, paladins, rangers, rogues, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. This section contains all the rules governing all the different playable classes. Unless you have some new homebrew classes, because you can do whatever you want in D&D. Each class starts with a brief bit of lore, like the races, before detailing the class's hit points, proficiencies, traits, attributes, spellcasting guidelines, if applicable, and specializations. All of this is organized into a neat table at the beginning of the class, though, so whenever you level up, you can easily find out what traits you acquire, or which traits are improved. Convenient!
Part 1, Chapter 4, Personality and Background.
This section details all the default backgrounds you can use, and tables for randomly determining a character's personality traits if you're too lazy to come up with your own.
Part 1, Chapter 5, Equipment.
This section details the costs and uses of the default equipment, which includes everything you would ever need. So, if you want to buy 10,000 ball bearings, you can figure out that it'll cost you 10 gold pieces. Also, lenses are really expensive. I hope your character doesn't need glasses, because even a magnifying glass costs 100 gold pieces. 10-foot poles are cheap though, 5 copper. This is just the boring table though. All the weapons are over here. All shall tremble before the almighty power of my war pick!
Part 1, Chapter 6, Customization Options.
This section details some alternative rules you can choose to use in your game, such as multi-classing and feats.
Part 2, Chapter 7, Using Ability Scores.
This section tells you about ability scores, advantage, proficiency bonuses, etc., etc. You probably don't care.
Part 2, Chapter 8, Adventuring.
This section details timescales, traveling speeds, jumping and climbing, stealth, falling and suffocating, vision and light, downtime activities, lifestyle expenses, etc., etc. You probably don't care.
Part 2, Chapter 9, Combat.
This section details initiative, movement, action, surprise, damage, creature size, etc., etc. You probably don't care.
Part 3, Chapter 10, Spellcasting.
This section details spellcasting, preparing spells, cantrips, ritual casting, components, areas of effect, etc., etc. You probably don't care.
Part 3, Chapter 11, Spells.
This section spans 82 pages and contains all class spell lists and every single standard spell in D&D, all in alphabetical order. Most of this book is ordered in alphabetical order, actually. If there's no other logical order to put them in, alphabetical is used. Feats, see each individual section of the equipment tables, classes and races, class and race traits. Even this short little downtime activities bit from Chapter 8 is organized in alphabetical order. Anyways, spells. You've got your standard fireballs and rays of frost and confusion spells, but there's actually a ton of variety and all sorts of really specific and interesting spells, like Compelled Duel, which forces the target to attack you, or Conjured Barrage, which replicates one thrown weapon or piece of ammunition, like a dagger, arrow, or light hammer, and sends a ton of them flying in a cone at your enemies. Imagine 50 hammers being thrown at you and your allies. That would be terrifying. Fairy Fire eliminates all enemies it hits, making it easier for your allies to attack them and revealing any stealth or invisible enemies for a short time. There's even Expeditious Retreat for all of your tactical withdrawals. The illustrations are still here, by the way, not for every spell, of course, but for enough of them, and they give you a sense of the strength of these magical abilities. And after the last chapter comes the appendixes, indexes. Oh, no, only one index. I read that wrong. And a photocopiable character character sheet if you can't download them off of the internets. Overall, I really like this book. It's comprehensive, clearly written, well organized, and the illustrations elevated to something that isn't just essential to play the game, which is also extremely enjoyable, but something that's enjoyable to read on its own. That being said, if you have no interest in playing Dungeons & Dragons or believe it's evil and part of a cult's secret plot to summon Cthulhu to destroy the world, don't buy this. Even if you're interested in D&D and want to start playing, it's pretty expensive. It's $30 on Amazon and has a manufacturer's suggested retail price of $50. Hey, printing all those illustrations isn't cheap. I'd recommend downloading the free Basic Rules PDF off of the Wizards of the Coast website or buying the starter set for only $13 from Amazon if you're interested in the game, and then buying the PHB later if you enjoy the game. Because if you're a player of D&D, this book is absolutely worth it, even if you manage to find a free photocopy of I can't read. Find a free photocopy PDF of the book somewhere on the internet. Having the physical hardcover is super useful, and it's great. Well, that should cover everything on the rubric. Now I can go back to browsing memes.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.